Welcome back, everybody, to the Draft Dogs YouTube channel. Today, we're going to be going over a brief preview of the AFC South and what we need to know. We're going to be talking about, from starting with the Titans, where these teams have improved, where they've regressed. We're going to talk about some of the draft picks that were made. We're going to talk about the things that need to be watched this season and what's going to really change the course of this division over the season. So with that said, let's go ahead and start out with the first team. So we're starting with the Tennessee Titans, and they made a huge move by going out and getting Julio Jones. That was probably the move of the offseason. It was kind of a surprise to see Julio leave Atlanta, but the Titans landed him. He's going to be with A.J. Brown, and all of a sudden you have a team with A.J. Brown, Julio Jones, Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill. He has no excuses this season, none. They did lose Geno Smith. That hurts, and you can see some of the moves they made. I think the biggest thing to watch with this team is going to be they lost Jadeveon Clowney, but even bigger than that, because they went out and signed Bud Dupree, John Simon. I mean, they tried to replace him, but they lost Malcolm Butler, Desmond King, Kenny Vaccaro. Those are three huge losses. Their secondary is taking a huge hit. So they went out and they signed Janoris Jenkins, and they drafted Caleb Farley, which is a really interesting pick because the guy can play, but can he stay healthy? Is he healthy? That's going to be one of the goals for them this season. So we'll see what Vrabel has in store for him. But this is going to be an interesting team. They went 11-5 last year. They won the AFC South over the Colts. They lost in the wild card round. But can the addition of Julio Jones, can that propel this offense to the next level? We'll see. We'll find out. Next, we're going to talk about the Indianapolis Colts, who finished second last season at the same record of 11-5. They also lost in the AFC wild card round. And this team went under some changes. They lost Phillip Rivers to retirement, that was a big hit to them. Anytime you lose a Hall of Fame quarterback, even if he only played for you for one season, that was their man last year. So they go out, they trade for Carson Wentz, they draft Sam Ehlinger, and they still have Jacob Eason sitting back there, who I really loved coming out of the draft a couple years ago. And I personally had him rated as a future starter, but apparently the Colts felt like they needed to go get Wentz. They took Ehlinger, who I also really liked. I liked Ehlinger a lot, where they took him. They go out, they get Eric Fisher, Chris Reed. They upgrade the protection for Carson Wentz. The thing to think about here, Carson Wentz is already injured. Quentin Nelson is already injured. So that's going to play out. That's going to be big time and seeing how this team goes. Now, they're saying that it's looking more likely than not that Carson Wentz plays week one. And I believe they feel the same about Quentin Nelson. I can't recall, but I believe they think he's going to play week one. If that's the case, then we go under the assumption that they're healthy. This is a team that's going to be pushing for that first, for the division, for first place in this division. Again, they're going to be pushing the Titans. Did the Titans separate themselves from the Colts by going out and getting Julio? We'll find out. Jonathan Taylor's going into his second season. Maybe the Colts are relying more heavily on him last season. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting. The Houston Texans, they finished third last year in the AFC South at 4-12. They fired. I'm sorry about that. They hired new head coach David Culley, and this is going to be, in a nice way, a train wreck. Deshaun Watson, with his off-the-field legal issues this season, we don't know if he's even going to play. Right now, it's looking more likely that he does not play. So, is the quarterback going to be Davis Mills? Is it going to be Tyrod Taylor? Not a good situation. They let Duke Johnson go. They go out and get David Johnson and Mark Ingram. I don't know. I don't know what to say about this team. At running back, they went out and they got some guys that are They've had some good seasons, but can they even really play anymore? They lost Will Fuller. That's a huge loss for them. They went out and they did get Anthony Miller, Chris Conley, Nico Collins. I thought was a good pick, but man, this offense is going to be. It's. I'd be real. I feel like it's really shady. I feel really shady about it. You look at the defense. They lost longtime great J.J. Watt. He's gone. They brought in Hewitt and Kirksey. They did go out and they did upgrade their defensive backfield. They did a really good job with their secondary. They went out and got Hargraves, who's a starter, Desmond King, who's a starter, Terrence Mitchell from the Browns. He's an underrated guy that I really liked. I was sad to see him go. But, O'Brien didn't help things with this roster, and Watson's issues have not helped either. So we'll see how this pans out, but it's not looking promising for this season for the Texans. So we'll see how it goes. And lastly, it's going to be one of the more interesting teams in the league this year. Is the Jacksonville Jaguars. They finished last in the NFL last year at 1-15, but they get that first pick. They take Trevor Lawrence after hiring Urban Meyer to bring him to the NFL. Now, how does Urban Meyer do in the NFL? What does he do in the NFL? That is going to be a huge thing to watch this season. Because Urban Meyer, as an Ohio State fan, I've seen this on both sides. When we got creamed by Urban Meyer in the national championship when he was at Florida, and when he won the national championship with us at Ohio State. Urban Meyer typically is a guy that he loves misdirections. He loves ground and pound. He doesn't have a lot of history with passing quarterbacks outside of Alex Smith at Utah. So I thought it was interesting to take Trevor Lawrence at number 1. Justin Fields, one of his old boys, was there. But he goes Trevor Lawrence. So Trevor Lawrence is the quarterback of the future there. They get C.J. Beathard, who I think is going to be... I think that's a good guy to sit behind him and kind of let him... Well, he's not going to be sitting there. He's going to be starting, but to mentor him. They lost some receivers in Keelan Cole, Conley, and Westbrook. But they go out, they get Marvin Jones, who's a proven commodity in this league. And then I feel like Urban just rolled the dice on a bunch of guys that are uber talented but just never panned out. You have Tavon Austin, Philip Dorsett, Laquan Treadwell. All of those were highly drafted picks that just never panned out. So we'll see if even one of those guys makes this team and is a significant contributor. That's a win for Urban Meyer and the Jaguars. They go out. He gets his old boy Carlos Hyde to come in. And then the pick that surprised me in the draft with Urban Meyer was Travis Etienne, although it probably shouldn't. When I've graded Travis Etienne, I grade him as a running back, but I've said the same thing about him over several times. All the tape I watch, he's not a guy that I think is a starting running back in the NFL. I don't think he's a ground and pound guy. I don't think he's got the vision to weave his way, and I don't see it. But the thing about Etienne, if he does hit a gap, or specifically if you get him outside of the tackles, he is a threat. I don't care if it's on a pitch or if it's a screen or if it's a quick out pass. I don't care what it is. If you get him outside of the tackles, he's a threat to go all the way every time. And I think that's why Urban takes him. I think Urban took him because from what we're hearing, what I had read is he's spending for every day at running back 2 days at wide receiver. And that makes a lot of sense because I think he's going to be Urban Meyer's H-back style in the NFL. If you go back and you watch Ohio State film and you see what Paris Campbell did, you go back to Florida and you look at what Percy Harvin did. I think Etienne is his Percy Harvin, is his Paris Campbell. That's going to be fun to watch, and it's going to be interesting. And you also look at what he did on the defense. Look at that secondary. He brings in Shaquille Griffin, Rayshawn Jenkins, Tyson Campbell out of Georgia. I mean, he improves that pass secondary. So we'll see how that works. But this first year with Urban Meyer, I don't know how it's going to go. I don't think it's going to be a great season for them. I think they have a long year ahead of them. But it's going to be fun to watch. And I think that they do have a chance to make up a lot of ground this season. So just keep an eye on it. We'll see how it goes. So to sum it all up, looking at keys to watch this season, I think I already mentioned all of these in the video previously. Oops. Can Julio Jones stay healthy, and can Tannehill get him the ball? For the Titans, that's going to be key. Is how does Tannehill play? Can he get Julio the ball? And can Julio stay healthy? He has a long history of getting hurt. Will the Titans' revamped secondary be able to withstand? How much does Farley play? If they're not able to stop the pass, it doesn't matter that they have Julio Jones because they're going to need him. Number 3, how severe are the injuries to Carson Wentz and Quentin Nelson? We don't know. It sounds like the Colts may have caught a break, but we don't know. And can Carson Wentz or Jacob Eason or Sam Ehlinger, can one of those quarterbacks break out? Because if they can and they can have a good season, the Colts are going to be hanging right in there with the Titans for that number 1 seed. Does Deshaun Watson play? Number 4. Does he even play this season? If not, I'm not even getting into it. It's a disaster. It's an absolute disaster. Number 5, what does Urban Meyer do with Lawrence and the Jaguars offense? So how does that go? Does he do a more traditional offense like we saw game 1 against the Browns in the preseason? It was a very traditionally run offense. Or does he do what he's always done? And does he kind of have Lawrence running, the Tim Tebow, Justin Fields. Well, Justin Fields is technically Ryan Day, but he, Braxton Miller, if you will, J.T. Barrett, Cardell. Does he run that style of an offense, or does he go more traditional? What does he do with his running backs? What does he do with Robinson and ETN? Is Robinson the standard running back, and ETN is the out of the backfield guy swinging out to the flats like I think he is? Or is ETN going to be the running back? Or do they have a timeshare? That's the question. That's the thing to watch. So with that, here's my predictions and projections for this season, how this conference is going to go. Almost identical to last season. I think Titans are going to finish first. I think they've improved this season. I think their pass defense is going to take a hit, but overall I think they've improved. The Colts, I think they're about the same, but losing Rivers, that's a hit. That is a hit to them. So we'll see if Carson Wentz is healthy and see what he can do. If he can regain his earlier career mojo, maybe the Colts, maybe they fight the Titans, maybe they push the Titans. And then Jacksonville, I think Jacksonville finishes 3rd this year and Houston 4th. And the reason is without Deshaun Watson, whether they start Tyrod Taylor, whether they start Davis Mills, whatever they do, losing Will Fuller, looking at that team, I don't see a lot of wins coming their way this year. I just don't. And by default, I think Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence at quarterback, Urban Meyer running that team now, I think they take a leap over Houston. And so I think it's the Titans, Colts, Jaguars, and Texans. And finally, thank you all for watching. Like and subscribe for future content. I hope you guys learned something today, or I hope you guys have some feedback for me. Drop a comment below on what you think is going to happen this season, where you think I got it right, where you think I got it wrong. And let's get ready for this season. Okay? All right, guys, stay safe.